Bit of a trigger warning. Morning brew, caffeinated rants incoming. I find days like yesterday really exciting. For me, at the moment, living in a major city just presents me with a lot of opportunities. This video is just going to be a run through of my shooting day yesterday. What a regular bill paying day looks like for me. Because, I don't know, I think even for myself in the past, if I was to try to think, where's my career headed? What types of things am I going to be doing to make money? I would have had no idea how that would actually look. And so, yeah, maybe some of you will be interested just to see what one of my days looks like. The type of day, I guess, that I rely on for my income. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this is because I often feel like there's a few misconceptions about what people in my line of work are actually doing day in, day out to make their money. And I hear two kinds of things in that area. One is that people think I'm out there shooting surfing or shooting super fun stuff as a means of making income. And although that does happen sometimes, it's pretty rare. And, you know, I guess I post a lot of things on Instagram and places like that, which is just things I love getting out and shooting, passion projects and things from travel, all kinds of stuff like that. And it probably is only a small percentage of the time that those things are actually what is making me income. And, you know, everything works together. You have to do both. You have to go out and just film things you want to film. There's a reason why you do this stuff in the first place, because you love doing it. You love pushing yourself. You love trying to capture images that you're stoked on and that tell a story and resonate with people. You never want to lose sight of that. So that's why it's good to just get out and shoot what you want to shoot purely for your own purposes. And also the other side of shooting those kinds of things is you often do get a lot of content that then does help you actually get paid work. You go to nice locations, you go, I think anything where you're shooting with a passion and shooting in nice lighting, nice locations, will then be good for your show reel, showing other people, you know, maybe this thing will be relevant to a brand that wants to do a little documentary about a certain story or person or something like that. So that's another reason for doing that stuff. But people can often, I guess, not understand those things a lot of the time aren't drawing an income for you. And from my own perspective, I love doing it all, but the type of day I had yesterday, I would say is a more typical picture of what it looks like in terms of how I make a living. Like I said before, sometimes I think there's a misconception people have that that stuff must suck and be kind of soul crushing. Shooting products, shooting for a company, doing these things that aren't maybe specifically where your passion is. But to me, I love doing that stuff as well. So yesterday, I ended up having an elusive 1.5 shooting day, which rarely happens. So what I mean by that is I had a full day shoot and a half day shoot in the one day. Very rare. Even the 2 half days is pretty rare, to be honest, which is why you don't charge a half day out at 50% of your day rate, because the chances of getting another half day that work with the schedule, not very common. It does happen, but it's not that common. And even less common is the type of day I had yesterday, which was a full day and then a half day. So the full day portion of my shoot, I was working with 2 good friends, which is always good. My friend Pablo Martin, who's a photographer, and he was being assisted by another good mate of mine, Dominic Lysidis. And yeah, they're two of my mates that I often catch up with for beers and hang out with when we're not working. So always nice when I get to work with them. So yesterday we were shooting in a location house for a company that makes cleaning products. Sounds boring, sure, but still fun.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Back. All right, and 3, 2, 1. Gotcha. All right, walking back.
Still ways of making nice images. It was a fairly cruisy schedule. It wasn't a stressful shoot. We were in a really nice house. It was fun kind of little concepts, still chances to play around with lighting and make things look nice. So in Sydney, for example, a lot of people have their houses listed through location agencies, which means a company like this can book that house for the day, and you come in and do a shoot, normally in hours, something along the lines of, say, 8:30 to 4:30, which was the hours we had access to the house yesterday. Pretty good deal for the homeowners because they can go to work, have their house making money for them, and then come back as we're leaving, more or less. It's normally bigger, nicer kind of houses that you do these types of shoots in. So yeah, it was a pretty straightforward shoot. Bit of a common format where a photographer and myself will work side by side. So in this example, because Pablo was using flash photography, he'd do his shots first, and then I'd do my shots, kind of basically replicating his flash lighting, but thinking of little scenarios that would then make sense for video edits down the track. So, you know, photography is more about capturing moments, whereas with video, you have to think about how it's all going to work together. And I have to put a bit of a directing hat on as well with that stuff to make sure the actions make sense. You know, thinking of coverage, wide shot, tight, people entering, people leaving, basically just thinking of logical little scenarios, and then within that, looking for fun moments, people laughing, etc., showcasing the product in its best light. These are all the kinds of things you're thinking of when you're shooting. So again, you know, if I was to tell people, oh yeah, I was shooting cleaning products today, they'd probably say, oh, that must have sucked. Well, it didn't really. It was good. It was fun. And I guess that's an example of the type of job I would do pretty regularly. While I was on the shoot, I got a message from a mate of mine saying he suddenly needed a second shooter for a concert that was on that night because his other operator he originally had booked woke up sick, and I was able to make the times work. I was basically able to finish up on that shoot, which was on the Northern Beaches in Sydney, make it through the Friday afternoon traffic to the CBD and do that shoot. The artist wasn't performing until 9:30, so we had time to look at the space before doors opened, make sure all our gear was ready. Luckily, the camera setup that I'd been using for the shoot in the day worked well again for the nighttime shoot. The setup I was using yesterday was a common workhorse setup of mine. It was the red Komodo with the Sigma 18 to 35 and the Sigma 50 to 100. I can do a lot of shoots with that setup and it just works really well. It's nice colors, it's a good level of sharpness, it's a really good focal range, having between 18mm and 100mm at 1.8 the whole way through with those two lenses. And I was shooting on a Cine saddle yesterday, so getting that smooth handheld kind of movement, which ended up working out really good for the gig as well. So I ended up being on a Cine saddle with the 50 to 100, kind of shooting through the crowd from the back of the room. Nice space to shoot because you could get a bit of elevation, get a bit of crowd in the foreground, but also a nice clean angle towards the stage. It was a fun night. Me and Billy had time to catch up a bit, prepare for the shoot, go over things, make sure we were really well prepared. Our task with the concert was to do full recordings of 5 songs, which ended up basically being the first 3 songs. Then we had a break during the set, and then more or less capturing the last 2 songs. So we had 2 locked off cameras that were just rolling, one on the stage with a wide lens, one up the back of the room, and then Billy was in the pit with a 50mm, and I was up the back of the room with the 50 to 100mm. So 5 cameras running. Billy will turn out an edit of the 3 songs within the next week or so, send that to the artist and supply them with some of the raw footage as well. So even though no 2 days ever look the same in my line of work, there's just so many possibilities in the film production industry. I could be doing something like that one day. I could be out in the bush shooting a doco the next day, and I love it. You know, I think also people have a misconception of what city life must be like, and I find days like yesterday really exciting. And of course, it needs to be balanced out. You know, if I was doing that every single day, yeah, it would get really draining. You know, that was a really big day. You wouldn't want multiple days like that in the week of 2 shoots a day. But just to put it in context, even though that was a massive day yesterday, the 4 days prior to that, I was at home. I was working on post-production on some long-form projects I've got on the boil. I was doing my general kind of admin, you know, I'm still running a business, there's invoices going out, people to communicate with, things like that, planning for other projects. So I had 4 days at home in a nice groove, getting as much done as possible on a mixed bag of things, everything from editing to planning to pitching to just general admin. Then I had this massive shoot day yesterday, 2 shoots. And even though it was a big day, it was fun because there was a lot of variety. Now I'm currently prepping to head up north, and I'm going to be shooting a personal documentary project next week. So I think all this stuff kind of comes together well. And for me at the moment, living in a major city just presents me with a lot of opportunities, because a day like yesterday is good on the financial side of things. You know, that one day with the 2 shoots could comfortably get me through 2 weeks. So there's a lot of jobs out there that you can make a good amount of money on in the day, even if it was just one of those jobs yesterday. So yeah, I'm really liking living in a major city like Sydney, and having the possibility for days like yesterday to come up at reasonably short notice, to have a chance to do some shoots with a bit of variety, working with friends on both those shoots, you know, people that I would hang out with even if we weren't working together. And yeah, I just thought it was a nice day to kind of share, to give a bit of a glimpse into what life looks like as a freelance cinematographer in Sydney. Cheers, hope you liked it.